Hi, I'm Marco Rubio, and I want to thank you once again for the honor and the privilege of serving you here in the United States Senate. This is our weekly installment of the Constituent Mailbox. As we do every week, we encourage people to send in their emails or their letters, and we pick a few that I think are typical of the ones that we're receiving, and we read them here on the air and make them available to you. So send in your emails and your letters, and who knows, maybe yours will be the one we pick next week. So let's get started. The first is from Fred Cohen, who gave us permission to use his full name, by the way. Fred is the president of Omicron Supplies here in Florida, in Pompano Beach. He's a business owner, and here's what he writes. He writes, I'm the largest importer of granite in the state of Florida, with over 50 employees in Florida. I import 24,000 slabs of granite each year. Congress let the free trade agreements, which had the GSP in it, expire in December of 2010. This is now costing me over $100,000 per year as the duty charged by customs changes unless Congress passes the trade agreements, in which I get the duties back retroactively to January 1st. Please pass these trade agreements. I need your help. I am in the construction business, and you know how well that's been doing the last few years. Thank you for your help, Fred Cohen. Fred, first of all, I know how tough times have been for the construction industry, and the last thing you need is government inaction to be making it worse. I am fully supportive of the free trade agreements. I have been prepared to vote for them in day one. Here's what people need. I hope people understand. The Congress cannot bring up the free trade agreements on its own. The President, the White House, the administration has to submit them. And until these free trade agreements are submitted to the Congress for approval, we can't act on them. And as I'm speaking into this camera today, they have still not been submitted. The White House has still not submitted them. Now, in this town, almost everyone I talk to in both parties say they're supporters of the free trade agreements and they're ready to vote for them immediately. And yet it's already September and the White House has still not submitted them. So I think it's a good question. What's taking so long? What's the holdup? What's the delay? Unfortunately, there's never been any good answers from the White House or the administration. Again, we try not to be overly partisan, but I need to be accurate and truthful. And the reality of it is, I am ready to vote for the free trade agreements yesterday, and I'm ready to vote for them immediately. But the White House has to submit them first, and then the leadership here in the Senate has to put them up for a vote. And as soon as that happens, I'll be ready to vote yes, not just on behalf of people like you, but on behalf of our entire state, which would gain tremendously from these free and fair trade agreements with Colombia, Panama, and with South Korea. Thank you, Fred, for your input. Our second email is from Robert. He writes about the NASA budget, and he says, please see that this program gets adequate funding to permit the United States of America to continue to play a leadership role in human space exploration. Let's be winners. I don't understand the Democrats' desire to take the USA out of leadership roles in foreign policy and space exploration. Well, Robert, first of all, NASA is critically important to Florida, but it's critically important to our country. It has this national security component that's incredibly important. It has a commercial aspect. There are so many businesses that, spin-off businesses and spin-off technologies that come from space exploration. And so that's why we're in favor of it. But to have a space program that succeeds, first you have to have a vision. You have to know where the program is headed and what your destination is. Now, just in the last week with the announcement of the SLS rocket system and talk about landing on an asteroid and ultimately on Mars, that's a lot better than where we were a couple of years ago. Now, the second thing that it takes is a real commitment from a funding perspective. In essence, making this a national priority and saying, not only are we going to have the vision about where we're going to go, but we're going to have the discipline to make the money available to make that happen. I don't think we have a choice but to do that. The reality of it is that we cannot afford, from a national security or economic standpoint, to fall behind and lose space supremacy. I'll give you a shocking statistic. We have right now some astronauts in the space station, and we have no way of getting to them. We're relying on the Soyuz rocket that's launched by the Russians. Well, just a couple weeks ago, there was a failure of that launch, and as we speak, there are NASA technicians in Russia trying to determine whether the new Soyuz is going to function or work. And if it doesn't, then the folks on that space station are going to have to evacuate it, basically abandon it, because there's no way to get to them. We don't have a space shuttle program anymore. So this is the price of not having a vision and a commitment to the space program's future. It's good for Florida, so obviously I'm for it, but it's really important for America. NASA's a treasure for us here in Florida, but it's a national treasure and an important one, and I hope that we'll fully commit to it. I certainly will. Well, I appreciate the letters once again and the emails. We encourage you to send this to us at our website or at our email address, or to write to us, and maybe, who knows, next week your letter will be the one that we read on the air. Thank you all for your encouragement, for your support. As I said at the outset of the broadcast, it's my honor and my privilege to serve you here in the United States Senate. May God bless all of you and your families. May God bless Florida, and of course, may God bless the United States of America.